America is full of habits that were never meant to exist. A throwaway joke, a dumb stunt, an ironic meme, then suddenly, it's a billion-dollar trend, a political slogan, or even a holiday. From lawn flamingos to fake religions, the punchlines got so serious, they rewrote culture. These are 101 weird American habits that started as jokes and refuse to stay that way. 1. Ever wonder if you could sell a literal rock for millions? In the 70s, Gary Dahl did. After joking in a bar about his perfect pet, he actually did it. He packaged stones in boxes with a genius instruction manual on training. He didn't just sell rocks. He sold a perfectly packaged joke, and America proved it would buy absolutely anything by the truckload. 2. There's a national boogeyman of bad decisions in America, and his name is Florida Man. It started as a dark internet joke, a collection of the wildest headlines imaginable. But what began as a meme has now branded an entire state as the nation's chaotic psych ward. Can you even call it a joke anymore when it feels this real? 3. You know that legendary Nathan's hot dog eating contest? The one supposedly born from a patriotic duel between immigrants back in 1916? Yeah, that entire story is a complete lie. It was a marketing gimmick invented in the 70s. The whole foundation of America's gnarliest eating competition isn't history. It's just a PR joke that refused to die. 4. It all started with a single, simple cake to announce a baby's gender. So how did we get from that to starting literal wildfires, crashing planes, and building actual pipe bombs? Seriously, how? A blogger's cute, sarcastic post somehow morphed into America's most needlessly destructive party trend. 5. Remember the universal rule? Crocs were a symbol of utter defeat, so people started wearing them ironically. But here's the terrifying part. The joke won. Now, $1,000 designer Crocs are a real thing. It's the ultimate proof that in American fashion, irony is just a beta test for the next serious trend. 6. Can you build a multi-million-dollar empire on 3 horribly pronounced words? A teenager named Danielle Bregoli did. A nation laughed at her "cash me outside" catchphrase, turning her into a meme. And she turned that meme into a fortune. It's the most absurd American success story. Get famous for the joke, then make everyone pay to watch. 7. What happens when you fight the government with pure, unadulterated sarcasm? You win. The Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster was created to mock creationism in schools. The joke got so big, it became a legally recognized religion. It's proof that sometimes the most powerful weapon in America is a pasta colander. 8. A fake holiday, invented by the show Seinfeld to mock Christmas, had an aluminum pole and a grievance airing session. It was designed to be the dumbest tradition possible. So, naturally, thousands of Americans adopted it as their own. And that's how a TV show punchline became one of America's most unhinged annual traditions. 9. The adult onesie began as a gag gift, a visual punchline about refusing to grow up. But then, the joke wasn't funny anymore, because it became real. It's the final, irreversible surrender to comfort, a fleece-lined white flag in the war against being a functional adult. Have we, as a society, gone too far? 10. How powerful is an internet joke? Powerful enough to make the United States Air Force sweat. The Storm Area 51 Facebook event was a massive meme, but then thousands of people actually showed up. The military had to issue official warnings about a joke. Let that sink in. A meme almost caused a real-world standoff in the Nevada desert. 11. Rickrolling. It's the internet's immortal cockroach. Born as a simple bait-and-switch joke on a forgotten forum, it was supposed to die years ago. Instead, it escaped the lab and infected reality, becoming so powerful that it's now a cultural touchstone. A joke from a dead website has outlived entire social media platforms. 12. Remember when pumpkin spice was just a flavor? Then it became a meme, the ultimate symbol of basic. But corporations didn't see a joke, they saw a challenge. Now we have pumpkin spice spam, motor oil, and dog treats. Who decided this was normal? The punchline is now a billion-dollar industry that holds an entire season hostage. 13. So you want to invent a multi-billion-dollar asset? Here's the formula. Take a picture of a dog, add bad grammar, and make it a fake currency. Dogecoin was created, from its very first line of code, to be a complete and utter joke. A joke that is now worth more than the entire economy of some countries. How does that even happen? 14. The Snuggie. The ads were a masterclass in lameness, instantly making it a national joke. You bought it for your friend as a gag gift, a symbol of giving up on life. But then came that cold, quiet moment of truth, alone in your living room. The moment you realized you unironically want one. The joke won. 15. How did the most depraved party game ever conceived become a mainstream hit? Cards Against Humanity was designed to be vile, a test of your worst impulses. But it turned out America was just waiting for permission to be horrible. A game made for terrible people is now a staple of family holidays. Just let that sink in for a second. 16. Ever wonder why we needed to invent the word adulting? It started as a funny, self-deprecating way to talk about doing basic chores. But the joke became the reality. It's now the default verb for functioning as a human being, as if being a grown-up is some bizarre, optional activity we're all just trying out. 17. Karen wasn't always a weapon. It started as a series of disconnected internet jokes that coalesced into one hyper-specific stereotype. But the caricature was so potent it became a permanent fixture in our vocabulary. Can you believe it? A meme evolved into a social nuke that can ruin a person's life overnight. 18. This one started as a stupid dare between friends to grow ridiculous mustaches for a month. A simple, dumb joke. But here's where it stops being funny and gets genuinely staggering. That joke, Movember, has since raised over $1 billion for men's health. It's a global force for good that was born from pure, unadulterated silliness. 19. Talk Like a Pirate Day exists for only one reason. Two guys in Oregon thought it would be funny. It was their own private, nerdy joke for years. Then one day, it just exploded. Now major corporations and news anchors participate. A completely random, pointless joke became an international holiday for literally no reason at all. 20. The turducken. It's a chicken inside a duck inside a turkey. This isn't a recipe, it's a crime scene. It began as a joke about American gluttony and excess. But who was the first person to look at 3 different birds and think, I can make them one? That culinary monstrosity is now a legitimate, if insane, Thanksgiving tradition. 21. The sport of extreme ironing was invented as a direct mockery of thrill seekers. The entire point was to combine something dangerous with something painfully boring. But America doesn't understand satire. People are now genuinely risking their lives to iron a shirt on a mountaintop. How did we get here? 22. For years, using literally when you meant figuratively was a joke, a sign that you were an idiot. But the joke was told so often that it became the new rule. Major dictionaries now list the incorrect meaning as an official definition. So, did we literally break the English language with a joke? Yes, literally, yes. 23. At Harvard University, some of the world's most brilliant minds gather for a formal ceremony. Real Nobel laureates hand out awards for scientific achievements. The twist? The research is for things like proving cats are both a solid and a liquid. The Ig Nobel Prize is a joke ceremony that has become one of the most respected honors in fringe science. 24. Air guitar. By its very definition, it's a performance of nothing. A joke. But that joke has been taken so seriously that there is now a dead serious, internationally recognized air guitar world championship. People train. They compete. They cry. Are you telling me this isn't the weirdest possible timeline? 25. The Kardashian look was so extreme when it first appeared, it felt like a parody of fame itself, a living caricature. But the joke was so powerful, it stopped being a joke and became the blueprint. So what does it say about our culture when the parody becomes the ideal we're all supposed to be chasing? 26. There are moments in internet history that defy all logic. Planking is chief among them. For a solid year, humanity's greatest ambition was to lie face down, stiff as a board, in weird places. It was a global inside joke with no setup and no punchline. So why did we do it? We'll never know. 27. Here's a wild thought. A silly social media dare, the kind you scroll past 100 times a day, actually changed the world. The Ice Bucket Challenge was just a goofy gag, but it went so viral it raised over $115 million for ALS research. It's the one time a global punchline had a truly heroic outcome. 28. Your aunt used to give you these as a sincere, if deeply misguided gift. Ugly Christmas sweaters were a genuine embarrassment. Then, wearing them became the joke. But the joke got so big, corporations are now spending millions to design brand new ugly sweaters from scratch. We are literally mass-producing irony. 29. In some 2016 presidential polls, a third-party candidate was pulling an incredible 9% of the vote. His name? D's Nuts. The entire campaign was a joke filed by a 15-year-old kid from Iowa. And for a terrifying moment, that crude punchline was more popular than actual career politicians. 30. Remember that weird decade when bacon wasn't just food, it was a personality? This obsession started as a simple internet meme, but it mutated into a cultural plague. Suddenly, there was bacon toothpaste, bacon vodka, bacon air fresheners. A joke about loving a food item turned into an all-consuming greasy identity. 31. Let's shift gears because not every joke has a funny ending. Slender Man was born in a Photoshop contest on an internet forum, a complete work of fiction. But the myth became so powerful, so real to some, that it inspired two 12-year-old girls to try and murder their friend for him. It's a terrifying reminder that a joke can become a monster. 32. What happens when the fake news becomes the most reliable source? You get The Onion. Started as a joke newspaper for college kids, its satire is now so sharp that foreign governments, major news outlets, and even US Congress members have reported it as fact. How broken is our world when the parody makes more sense than reality? 33. The idea was noble. Animals providing legitimate emotional support. But then came the joke. People started ironically pushing the limits just to see what they could fly with. An emotional support peacock, a squirrel, a hamster. The punchline? They pushed so hard they broke the system for people who actually needed it. 34. Imagine pitching this movie, a tornado, but it's filled with man-eating sharks. It's a concept so profoundly stupid it should have been laughed out of Hollywood. But the internet saw the joke in Sharknado and decided to be a part of it, turning a guaranteed failure into a global cult franchise built entirely on a terrible pun. 35. The whole point of a dad joke is that it's supposed to be bad. The cringe is the punchline. But this specific brand of anti-humor became so universally beloved that it's now a celebrated, recognized category of comedy. We took objectively terrible jokes and collectively decided they were an art form. 36. You've seen them on suburban lawns your whole life, but did you know their story? The pink plastic flamingo was created as the ultimate symbol of cheap tackiness. Putting one on your lawn was an ironic joke about bad taste. But so many people made the joke that it stopped being a joke. Now, it's just a decoration. 37. For millions of Americans, it's the only thing that gets them through the work week. But Casual Friday didn't start as a corporate policy. It started as a small, almost laughable experiment to boost morale in the 90s. Now, it's a non-negotiable part of American work life. The real joke today would be an office that doesn't have it. 38. The milk crate challenge was supposed to be nothing more than a dumb internet gag, stacking shaky crates and seeing who could climb them. The problem? Gravity isn't funny. Hospitals reported real injuries, from broken bones to concussions. A meme meant for laughs turned sidewalks into emergency rooms. 39. I want you to try and imagine a world where this didn't start as a joke. A pair of plastic testicles hanging from a pickup truck. It has to be a parody of hyper-masculinity. And yet thousands of people now buy truck nuts and display them with what appears to be 100% sincerity. At what point did the punchline get lost? 40. There is a fundamental law of the internet, a rule so powerful it now governs modern reality. It started as a niche observation on a forum, and it's called Poe's Law. It states that any parody of extremism is indistinguishable from the real thing. And that right there is the terrifying joke we are all currently living in. 41. Before the word meme even existed, there were Chuck Norris facts. The internet started it as a joke, a list of hyperbolic claims about his invincibility. Chuck Norris doesn't sleep, he waits. The joke became so powerful, so universally understood, that it stopped being a joke and became a weird, accepted piece of cultural mythology. 42. Fitness tech used to be mocked as a joke flex, but somehow gadgets like Oura rings and Whoop bands became status symbols. What started as an ironic, look at me tracking my sleep, has spiraled into a full-on recovery cult. Now people brag about their REM cycles like it's a luxury car. 43. There's a movie called Snakes on a Plane. Its title was so stupid, it was just an inside joke in Hollywood. But then the internet found out, and the joke became a demand. People willed this movie into existence through sheer force of memes, even forcing the studio to add more gore and profanity. A film literally produced by a global internet dare. 44. Two simple words that launched 1,000 family arguments. Okay, boomer. It started as a flippant, almost funny Gen Z retort on TikTok. But it detonated into a full-blown generational war cry, a verbal nuke used in workplaces, news articles, and even national parliaments. Can you believe a meme became a legitimate cultural weapon? 45. This one started with a tragedy, but the internet's reaction was pure chaos. The death of Harambe the gorilla spawned a tidal wave of ironic memes. But the joke took a bizarre turn. People started holding candlelight vigils and creating sincere petitions. The line between irony and genuine grief blurred into something deeply weird and uncomfortable. 46. For a while, the man bun was the absolute peak of hipster cliché. A hairstyle so self-aware, it was practically a joke. It was an ironic statement. But then, a terrifying thing happened. It slowly crept into the mainstream until it was no longer ironic. The ultimate joke was on the original hipsters. Their parody became everyone else's reality. 47. There's a conspiracy theory sweeping Gen Z that claims all birds are actually government surveillance drones. They have rallies, merchandise, and millions of followers. The secret? The entire movement is a joke. Birds Aren't Real is a massive, organized parody designed to mock real conspiracy theories by being more coherent than they are. 48. Want a free ride to prom? Just build your entire outfit out of duct tape. What started as a goofy marketing contest for a tape company has evolved into a shockingly serious high school tradition. Students now spend hundreds of hours creating couture-level designs. A silly corporate gimmick is now an American rite of passage. 49. Someone, somewhere, said the words "goat yoga" out loud. And instead of being laughed out of the room, they started a business. It sounds like a punchline to a joke that doesn't exist. And yet, it's a legitimate, thriving industry where people pay serious money to have farm animals climb on them. The punchline is now a business model. 50. Have you ever noticed this specific, recurring scream in hundreds of movies? That's the Wilhelm scream. It started as a tiny inside joke for a group of sound editors in the 1950s, a sonic Easter egg they'd sneak into films. The joke has been passed down for generations and is now the most famous sound effect in cinema history. 51. The whole gym bro persona, the grunting, the endless talk of protein, the "do you even lift?" attitude. It began as a clear parody of fitness fanatics. But the parody was so compelling that legions of guys saw it and, instead of laughing, thought, "Yes, that is who I want to be." They unironically adopted the joke as their entire identity. 52. Chunky dad shoes were the butt of fashion jokes for years, the ultimate anti-style statement. But irony has a habit of winning in America. Today, those same orthopedic-looking sneakers are rebranded as luxury streetwear, selling for hundreds. What was once mockery is now haute couture. 53. Leroy Jenkins. It's the most legendary battle cry in the history of online gaming, the ultimate symbol of glorious failure. The secret? The entire viral video was staged. It was a complete joke made by a group of friends to make fun of themselves. But that fake moment became the defining anthem for an entire generation of players. 54. That classic challenge. Eat a 72-ounce steak in an hour and it's free was just a clever marketing gimmick for roadside diners. A joke to get people in the door. But it spawned an entire subculture of competitive eating. People now train for these restaurant challenges like they're professional athletes. The gimmick became a sport. 55. Think back to the early internet. Troll face. Me gusta. Forever alone. Those crude, poorly drawn faces were a joke, a low-effort way to communicate an emotion. But for years, those simple drawings became the universal, unspoken language of the internet. A handful of doodles literally defined an entire era of online culture. 56. It is the Rosetta Stone of modern internet culture. A picture of a fat cat with the caption, "Icon has cheeseburger," was so profoundly stupid, so beautifully broken in its grammar, that it became a viral sensation. That one joke picture spawned a multi-million-dollar media empire, proving that the future would be built on misspelled cat photos. 57. For 1 month in 2013, the entire planet lost its collective mind. The Harlem Shake wasn't a dance. It was a flash mob virus. It started as a simple joke video, but it infected everyone from corporate offices to army platoons. Then, as quickly as it came, it vanished. It was a global joke we all agreed to be in on, and then, to forget. First, it was a cool dance move from Atlanta hip-hop. Then, it became a victory pose for athletes. Then, it became the ultimate cringe, as politicians and news anchors started dabbing to look hip. The entire life cycle of a cultural phenomenon, from cool to parody to unbearable, happened in the space of a single arm movement. 59. Covfeef. A single nonsensical word born from a presidential typo at midnight. The internet treated it as the joke of the century, but it refused to die. It became a piece of merchandise, a political symbol, a cultural artifact. How is it possible that a simple spelling error became a permanent, bizarre footnote in American history? 60. The mannequin challenge was a perfect, simple joke. Everyone freezes in place. But it escalated. It went from high school kids to pro sports teams to political campaigns to the International Space Station. Astronauts literally did this challenge in zero gravity. The joke didn't just get serious, it went interstellar. 61. Chia. Let's be real, the chia pet has always been a joke. It's a terracotta sculpture that grows green hair. And yet this kitschy, ridiculous product has been a holiday staple for over 40 years. It's a novelty gag that accidentally became a permanent piece of American consumer culture. 62. Remember Thanks, Obama? It started as a sincere complaint, then morphed into a sarcastic conservative meme. Then liberals reclaimed it as an ironic joke. The joke got so big that President Obama himself ended his final speech by sarcastically saying it. A 3-word phrase went on a wild political roller coaster and back again. 63. The Big Texan. 72-ounce steak challenge began as a roadside gimmick. Finish 6 pounds of beef in under an hour. Get it free. It was basically a culinary dare. But the joke snowballed into a professional sport. Now there are major league eating competitions with sponsors, prize money, and athletes training for meat marathons. 64. Adult coloring books. When they first appeared, everyone laughed. It was a silly, infantile trend for stressed-out millennials. A joke. But then therapists started recommending it. Scientists studied it. It became a billion-dollar industry and a legitimate tool for mindfulness. The joke turned out to be actual therapy. 65. The term social justice warrior, or SJW, didn't start as an insult. It was twisted into a sarcastic joke to mock activists online. But the joke was weaponized. It's now used with 100% seriousness by political commentators as a primary tool in the culture war. A playground taunt became a political descriptor. 66. What even is Friendsgiving? It began as a joke, a makeshift second-rate Thanksgiving for people who couldn't go home for the real thing. But for an entire generation, the fake holiday has now become the main event, a tradition more cherished and less stressful than the one it was parodying. 67. Using slang like sis, t, and period started as a joke for many online, a way to adopt a certain internet persona. But that joke stumbled into a massive cultural debate about appropriation in language. Who knew that the very words you type as a punchline could ignite a serious social firestorm? 68. For 48 hours, society collapsed over a single JPEG. Was the dress blue and black or white and gold? It was a hilarious low-stakes internet argument. But it got so big that neuroscientists and vision experts started publishing actual scientific papers to explain it. A dumb office debate literally advanced human science. 69. Is there a dumber sport than chasing a wheel of cheese down a near vertical hill? It's a British tradition, but Americans now flock to it. The entire premise of competitive cheese rolling is a joke. The problem is the broken bones, concussions, and dislocated shoulders are all terrifyingly real. 70. You know it. You've drawn it. That weird, pointy S thing from middle school notebooks. It's a universal symbol that connects an entire generation, and yet nobody knows who created it or what it means. It was a shared, pointless joke with no origin story. The serious part? It might be the world's most successful pre-internet meme. 71. Some jokes are harmless. This one is actively trying to make us dumber. The modern flat earth movement was resurrected on internet forums as the ultimate thought experiment, a joke about conspiratorial thinking. The problem? Thousands of people missed the joke entirely and now sincerely believe we live on a cosmic frisbee. 72. It is the most predictable yet shocking event of the American autumn. Spirit Halloween. The meme about it instantly possessing any dead retail space is a national running gag. But the joke is now a multi-hundred-million-dollar business model built on the most temporary, aggressive, and hilarious form of capitalism imaginable. 73. Here's a perfect example of how the internet can scream a joke into reality. The Free Britney movement started as a fringe fan conspiracy, easily dismissed as a joke. But it grew, it gained traction, and that joke morphed into a legitimate global legal battle that actually succeeded in ending a conservatorship. A meme literally changed someone's life. 74. The ultimate commitment to a joke is the one you can't erase. Ironic tattoos began as a way to mock bad tattoos, a self-aware piece of body art, a tiny cheeseburger on your ankle, a cartoon character. But here's the thing about irony. It fades. The tattoo, however, is permanent. And now you have to explain that joke for the next 50 years. 75. Can a joke about being a terrible investor actually break the stock market? Yes. Yes, it can. The entire stonks meme, championed by Redditors on Wall Street bets, was a joke about their own financial incompetence. But they leaned into the joke so hard, they collectively organized to cause real, multi-billion-dollar chaos on Wall Street. 76. 3 innocent words. A simple invitation, Netflix and chill. It began as a transparent, almost funny euphemism for a hookup. It was a punchline. But the joke became so universally understood, so deeply embedded in the culture, that it's now just a standard accepted phrase in the modern dating lexicon. 77. It began as a dreamy, almost funny internet aesthetic. Cottagecore. A parody of a simple life that no one actually lives. But the joke was so comforting, so alluring, that people started taking it seriously. Now it's a legitimate lifestyle movement influencing fashion, home decor, and how people present their entire lives online. 78. You couldn't write this in a comedy script because it would be too unbelievable. The Four Seasons Total Landscaping press conference. An apparent booking mistake that felt like the punchline to the universe's biggest joke. It was so absurd, so perfectly pathetic, that the landscaping company became an iconic, historical landmark of political comedy. 79. Remember 2017? The year a tiny piece of spinning plastic became a national security threat in every classroom. Fidget spinners were a simple toy. Then they became a meme. The joke about them being a cure for everything went so far that schools actually started banning them. A fad became a full-blown moral panic. 80. Where does America go for moral guidance in the 21st century? Not to a philosopher, not to a priest. They go to a Reddit forum called Am I the Asshole? What started as a jokey concept for settling petty disputes has become the de facto Supreme Court for millions of people's personal lives. 81. The spork may have been the OG hybrid joke utensil, but it didn't stop there. Companies churned out spifes, spoon knife, norks, knife fork, and even travel cutlery meant to replace the real thing on airplanes. What began as a cafeteria punchline is now a bizarre subculture of utensil innovation. 82. It featured sunglasses, a joint, and gangster rap, usually overlaid on a video of a suburban kid doing something mildly rebellious. The Thug Life meme was a complete parody. But the format was so perfect, so instantly recognizable, that it became one of the most dominant and enduring meme templates of the decade. 83. Before Facebook, before Tinder, there was a crude, brutal joke of a website, hot or not. The premise was simple and savage. Rate strangers' attractiveness. And yet, this joke of a site pioneered the core mechanics of nearly every social media platform that followed. We should have seen it as a warning. 84. Sometimes a joke isn't just a joke. It's a perfect encapsulation of a human feeling. The "Is this a pigeon?" meme, taken from a 90s anime, captured the essence of being confused. The joke was so pure, so universally understood, that it became a timeless tool for explaining our own bewilderment at the world. 85. Keep calm and carry on. This slogan was a complete failure. A forgotten piece of wartime propaganda that was never even used. Decades later, it was rediscovered and resurrected as an ironic, funny poster. But the joke became so popular that it's now treated as a piece of genuine historical wisdom. A failure became a global philosophy. 86. How did we reach a point where the head of the Consumer Product Safety Commission had to publicly beg people not to eat laundry detergent? The Tide Pod Challenge started as a dark, ironic meme, a joke about forbidden fruit. But the joke became so powerful that it created a genuine nationwide public health crisis. 87. After his movies faded, Shrek was supposed to die. Instead, the internet resurrected him as a bizarre, ironic god. The Shrek is love, Shrek is life meme was a joke, a deep-fried piece of internet chaos. But that chaotic energy gave the entire franchise a second life, turning a cartoon ogre into an immortal cultural icon. 88. The term itself came from a single, strange documentary. Catfishing. It felt like a joke, a weird, niche story about online deception. But the concept was so potent, so perfectly suited for the modern age, that it stopped being a story and became a standard, universal verb for breaking someone's heart with a fake profile. 89. It's just a stock photo. A simple, cheesy picture of a guy looking at another woman. But the distracted boyfriend meme became the perfect joke format for temptation and bad decisions. It has since become so globally recognized that it's practically a universal language, a pictograph for human fallibility. 90. It was the ultimate gag gift, the peak of late 90s annoyance. The big mouth Billy Bass, a plastic singing fish. And yet, this joke product became so ubiquitous, so inescapable, that it's now a genuine cultural artifact. It was a punchline that somehow ended up on the walls of millions of American homes. 91. Has any single image better captured the feeling of modern life? A cartoon dog, sitting in a burning room, sipping coffee and calmly saying, "This is fine." It was a joke, a perfect, simple piece of dark humor. But it has since become the official, universally accepted flag of our collective denial. 92. The VSCO girl felt like a parody from the moment it appeared. The shell necklaces, the metal straws, the skis laugh. A walking, talking cliché. But the joke became a real, marketable aesthetic that defined an entire subculture. The line between making fun of the trend and being the trend completely vanished. 93. The entire premise was a joke. What if we filmed ourselves doing incredibly stupid, painful things for no reason? Jackass wasn't a show, it was a dare. A dare that somehow spawned a billion-dollar movie franchise and turned a group of friends into international superstars for getting hit in the groin. 94. First, it was a genuine insult. Then, the internet adopted simp as an ironic joke. Then, the joke became so widespread that it circled all the way back to being a serious, weaponized insult again. How many other words have gone on such a wild journey from sincere to ironic and back to sincere? 95. Live, laugh, love. It started as a sincere, if cheesy, piece of home decor. Then, it became the ultimate symbol of basic taste, a punchline in every joke about suburban homes. But the joke has been told for so long that it's looped back around. Now it's just a thing that exists, beyond sincerity and beyond irony. 96. Whispering into a high-tech microphone? Tapping fingernails on a plastic box? ASMR sounded like the setup for a very weird joke when it first appeared. But for millions, the punchline was that it actually worked. What began as a bizarre internet subculture is now a massive, global industry for relaxation and sleep. 97. It's a joke with only one rule. If you think about the game, you lose. It's a pointless, frustrating, and brilliant piece of psychological warfare that has been passed down for decades. It's a meme that exists almost entirely in your own head, proving a joke doesn't need a screen to go viral. And yes, you just lost. 98. It became the biggest joke on YouTube, the unavoidable, relentless sponsorship from Raid Shadow Legends. But here's the brilliant part. The company leaned into the joke. The meme about their aggressive marketing made them more famous than any normal ad campaign ever could have. The punchline was the marketing. 99. Take a perfectly good image. Now destroy it. Add so many filters and distortions that it's a pixelated nightmare. That's a deep-fried meme. The entire joke is about the decay of information online. But this joke about ruining quality has become its own legitimate, recognizable art style. 100. A photo of a girl with a speech impediment, excitedly holding Goosebumps books. Ermagerd. It was a ridiculous joke, a simple, funny image. But for a solid year, that single, silly word became a linguistic phenomenon, a shorthand for pure, unadulterated, nerdy excitement. 101. And finally, the ultimate joke that got serious is the concept of going viral itself. It used to be a random accident, a funny fluke. Now, it's a calculated science. Corporations and influencers spend millions trying to manufacture the effortless magic of a joke that lands perfectly. The punchline is now a business plan. So here's the uncomfortable truth. America doesn't just laugh at a joke, it lives in it. Crocs, Tide Pods, Flat Earth, even entire holidays. The line between parody and reality isn't blurry, it's gone. Now I want to know, what's the dumbest joke you think could actually become real next? A conspiracy? A meme? Maybe your weird uncle's catchphrase? Drop it in the comments, I'll be reading. And if you made it this far, hit that like button and subscribe. Because let's be honest, the next time irony mutates into reality, you're gonna want to be here to watch the collapse in real time.